This week's podcast sponsored by HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the PC Perspective Podcast. We're at episode 733. This is being recorded on July 26, 2023. I'm Sebastian Peak.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Brett Van Sproonberg.
And I'm Kent Burgess.
We didn't really have the up and down cadence this time, Josh.
It didn't work so well, so.
And I probably would have messed it up anyway.
You can help support the site by going to Patreon. It's this platform for helping creators, blah, blah, blah. Patreon.com/PCPer. And throw as much money at us as you possibly can.
Or Brett will never be able to afford lights again. I mean,
Brett,
or any of us.
Yeah, keep the lights on is what we're trying to say. Please help keep the RGB backlights on. We're going to completely ignore the fact that if you're watching the video, all of us have changed position. Well, two of us have changed places. So don't worry about it.
You know, the important people.
I did too, but I ended up in the same spot again.
Somebody pointed out, and it's very true, that I was facing away from everybody. It's like I didn't want to be a part of this. That's not true.
Now it's being creepy. It's like
now I'm looking at everybody all the time, and so it's better composition. I think it works.
No, it's a little creepy.
Plus, it's RGB versus anti-RGB.
That's true, it is.
And then the Apple guy in the middle, who doesn't really fit in. So he's got the PCPer logo under him, just so you know. Oh, he's part of us. He's not on an Apple podcast. He's on a PC podcast. It says so.
I have way more PCs in this house than Mac.
That logo has withstood the test of time, unlike small birds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went to get a picture for food,
I still have a small bird.
And it just said
online.
X, and the bird was gone.
Yep. Oh, I've still got the bird. But it also crashed from about 8 a.m. till about 2 this afternoon.
Did it have a whale, or is that gone too?
No, it just closed
no fail whale.
The mobile app just sort of, boop, your app has crashed. Try clearing your cache. Yeah, that's not going to help. It's a musky problem.
Cache is Canadian cash, by the way, for those not familiar with
If you don't know
vernacular.
that, then I don't know why you're watching this.
No.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to go to Laramie, Wyoming. We're just going to talk about food, talk about burgers, right, Josh?
So, there I was, browsing Facebook right before lunch to see if they posted what the special was. Building maintenance. It's an old building. Something happened. They're closed for 2 days. I didn't get a burger. Well, I mean, I got a Wendy's burger, but who wants to see a picture of a Wendy's burger? You can get a Wendy's burger anywhere. I mean, they're kind of a step above regular burgers for the most part. I mean, better
Fresh, never
McDonald's.
frozen. Never frozen.
I know. And, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like a Big Mac now and then, if that isn't completely obvious to you. But it's not the same as getting a Wendy's double. It's just not. Sometimes you just need a regular hamburger. You know what? Wendy's delivered. Well, no, I went to them to go get it, but they still delivered the product through the
You're such a
drive-through
square.
window.
Through the window. Hey, what about this? Are you responsible for this?
Hey, what?
You tweeted about it, or I mean, you X'd about it.
That's
He excreted?
Yeah, he expressed himself.
Excrete.
so that's from our sponsor for today, HelloFresh. That's their creamy, spicy panko fried chicken thingy. I don't know what the real thing is. I'll tell you what, they have pretty good stuff, but boy, those guys like scallions. I mean, they give you some serious scallions, and then you use all the scallions, and then next thing you know, all you taste are scallions. And but otherwise, it was really good. So next time, I'm going to cut out some of the scallions. Otherwise, yeah, it's good.
Josh,
Good stuff.
in my kit this week, it was an abundance of horseradish spread for the burgers, actually.
Ooh.
Horseradish spread?
was.
It's kind of like Arby's horsey sauce?
No, it was literally a horsey radish spread. I did it with had some sauteed mushrooms on there. Did a little bit of flavoring on the meat. It was a very, very fine burger.
Nice.
I'm getting a little
That and
tired
some scallions.
of cutting
That'd
up
be really nice.
scallions. Yeah.
I love scallions.
All three of the meals that I had this week were scallions. I guess I'm getting some minerals I really needed.
The French onion is good for you.
In our first news story this week, and these are in no particular order, it's just that AMD has finally released a public driver for Phoenix. Mobile parts that until now, there's been a lot of concern in the community. I was following this on X.com over the last few days. And DGPU and iGPU Radeon RDNA 3 drivers have been combined. So now just whatever the current driver is, I hope, going forward, like with this last driver release, 23.7.2, it's unified. So it has desktop and mobile together, living in perfect harmony. Well, except for Z1. So Ryzen Z1, like in the ROG Ally, not included. So you still have to get those another way. I have not used one of these parts yet, so I wasn't concerned personally, but I know that there were people who were.
Phoenix driver.
Yeah. Previously, that was through your OEM exclusively. All right. That was a great story. Glad we let off with it.
Yep, good call. Let's do it.
Good call.
Keep
Leading
moving
off
on.
with that. I had a placeholder story above it just called Thing for a while, and then I just deleted it and made this number one because I couldn't find another number one.
You deleted the thing.
Because it's number one.
You know, I think we started out by saying these stories are in no particular order. And
I
think we're
did.
gonna
I
stick
said
with
that.
Yep.
Yes.
Hey, one other interesting note. If you look at the release notes for Journal Edition 23.7.2, go under Important Notes. It says, Factory Reset has been temporarily disabled as a precautionary measure while we address isolated installation issues that have been reported during PC upgrades. Users may use AMD Cleanup Utility as a temporary option.
Now, Sebastian, they say temporarily, but I believe it's the last 5 driver updates
Yes.
that I've done.
Yes.
I've noticed that.
I was trying to do clean installs when I was switching between driver
you-
versions. I'm like, I guess I got to DDU this thing because there's no clean install option. I haven't used that AMD utility in a while. I didn't know they even still had it.
Yep, but they haven't updated it in forever.
Yeah.
Although it's more fun to run
DDU.
when you're running an AMD motherboard and chips and
Yeah, I like to uninstall some of the chipset stuff sometimes.
Everything.
Yeah.
DDU is probably the better option regardless, but
Yeah.
You got
But
to
it will-
reboot into safe mode. It's a whole thing.
Well, you should.
You have to.
you millennials.
You
Okay.
can.
Just unplug
Hey, Kent.
the network cable. Stop it.
Kent,
Unplug the network cable. Uninstall.
Yeah.
when was
It
the last
works.
time you got into safe mode on a Windows 10 or 11 machine?
About 6
Oh,
hours ago.
probably about a week ago.
Okay. Is there a better way? Tell me the better way to get into safe mode without it rebooting.
Oh no, they make it
twice.
worse every time. Windows 11, you need to do a tap dance pretty much to get into safe mode now.
Windows 10 and 11 are bad for it, although I have discovered that some Gigabyte motherboards have a switch that you can program in the BIOS to boot into safe mode.
Say what now?
Yes, the reset switch on the motherboard, which is actually a physical button on the motherboard, is programmable in the BIOS, and there are several options. And one of them is to program it to boot into safe mode.
Oh, that is so
It's
much
fantastic.
better than having to reboot holding a key and then hitting the boot screen and then doing the other key, and then now it might offer you.
Right, because then
safe mode.
once you get into it, then it's troubleshooting, startup options.
Yeah, safe mode is buried behind
Reboot.
the...
Then you hit option 4 for safe mode. Wait. And when I was doing this on the X670E board, back when it was taking 2 minutes to boot.
And
was-
yes, Makona, but sometimes you can't get to that point where you can hit that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you're doing safe boot, it's for a real bad reason.
I mean, if you're already in Windows, you can just log out and then hold down the Shift button and hit restart.
Yeah.
Holding Shift while you restart gets you into the troubleshooting options, which then lets you choose the advanced startup settings and then choose safe
But you
mode.
can't go into system config and tell it to, hey, this time you're doing a safe minimal boot, or, you know.
But since this discussion's
Never hit the Active Directory repair button, by the way. That toggle is the devil. It will not do anything you want it to.
But since the discussion started with using DDU and having to go into safe mode, there is actually a setting in DDU to tell it to just reboot into safe mode. And then you're in safe mode and it will run. And then you go back into your regular Windows environment. And
Safe
it's
mode for
fantastic.
dummies.
There's also
mode for
a
dummies.
shortcut in DDU to disable driver installation through Windows Update, which is handy, if that actually
Yes.
still works. Because I do what Jeremy taught me to do now, which is I create a, what is it called? It's like a local rule. Is it machine level or user level where you have to tell it to ignore?
One of your GPOs,
Yeah.
that will be machine level.
Okay.
Now, I can only speak to Windows 10 as of about 3 months ago, but that button did still work in DDU to disable updates through Windows.
Nothing's
At
worse
that
than
point.
running DDU and then rebooting, and then it's already installed the wrong driver again.
Yep.
Yep.
Helpfully.
Hey, the computer
Yes.
wants to help.
In our next news story, Micron has a press release about HBM, that's high bandwidth memory. They now have the densest, fastest HBM ever. And it's
How
also
dense is it?
Well, let's see. It's denser.
I mean, bandwidth greater than 1.2 terabytes a second.
Uh-huh.
Each pin doing 9.2 gigabits. I mean, that is the
24
promised
gig
50%
per
jump.
stack.
Yeah,
It's 8-layer. Let's wait for this little site to load.
50% increase from the previous generation HBM3 in their testing anyways.
Yeah.
We shall see.
And it's more energy efficient. 2.5x improvement in performance per watt. It's got to accelerate those AI workloads in the data center, you know. So,
It's generative AI from now on. I think
I'm sorry.
That's what you need to say.
Oh, yeah.
okay.
Don't forget that.
Generative
See
AI.
right there.
Where have I
There you
been?
are right there.
I feel like just a week
I don't-
ago it was just AI. And now it's
No. It's
Generative AI. Okay.
Yeah.
With
I mean, deep
LLM in
learning-
brackets.
Yep. Deep learning is still a thing. You can
Okay.
still say that.
Okay.
Okay.
And HPC.
Is it okay to say
scientists
machine
use it
learning? Or is
It
that
is.
not?
Only
Sure.
in certain circumstances.
Okay.
I know it's tough keeping track of all the new vernacular.
Yes. Because they are trying to supercharge AI innovation.
And then sell it to you for an upcharge.
Yes.
Or just rent it to you by the hour because you
Oh,
can't-
yeah,
I think
they're not
only
selling
people
it.
fighting
Yeah.
against it.
I can't
are
wait
the
till they leverage 5G at the edge for AI.
Of course.
It'll be a paradigm shift.
It will.
It's
the
and through
only
the power
people
of blockchain,
fighting against
we
the
can make this
AI
happen.
invasion is the Screen Actors Guild.
Topical. You know, something that is not confusing, if you're thinking enterprise storage, Solidigm. And remember, this started off
Who are
as
they?
Intel storage. And
Oh,
now they've got the world's biggest SSD. It's almost 62 terabytes, 61.44. I like the floppy disk reference in the middle there. 1.44.
Ah.
so that would make a really good Steam drive for half your games.
Yes.
All I
Hey,
can hear
remember
is
when-
Eric Cartman yelling, "Beefcake!" Can barely get through the door.
Remember when Alan was first doing latency percentile testing and he had a floppy disk, a dual density floppy disk
Yep.
for an example? And then he, so, yeah. I just wonder if his fingerprints are on this 1.44. That's all.
Logarithmic scales.
It's the E1L that I have a question about.
It's actually a magic wand.
Like,
Don't plug
it's-
it
It's
in.
a long format. Now they do have a typically
9.5 mils.
shaped format that the U.2, which is fairly usable by many different converters. So that's
Absolutely, but it seems to be like sort of wrapped in a shell as opposed to just having a heatsink on the top.
does seem that way. Yes.
Yeah, I'm very curious about what this will work out as.
Yeah, the physical size of these, I think there's probably something electrical or the way they had to arrange all the chips they needed that sort of pushed them into this physical form
Yeah.
factor.
So those are QLC drives, I assume, to get this
Yes.
level of density.
Yes.
192
Yes.
layer.
It's 192 layer QLC. But the thing is that it's QLC done in a sort of different way.
Okay.
They've got a wacky controller that they're being, cagey about, as you will be until you can actually get some solid stuff out there. But they're sort of claiming that there'd be no point in using TLC for it. And even the endurance they're sort of arguing about that, it's got a bit of decent endurance to it. I'm not sure. I'm not sold. I need to find out, how it's going to be. But if you're buying...
with that, at the 62 terabytes, your endurance is going to be massive.
Yes, that's the thing. It's so huge. And at 62 terabytes, do you want to pay MLC prices? Or TLC prices? TLC prices, rather? That's going to be... Yeah. So if they can pull off what they seem to be saying in this press release, it's going to be interesting to see. And it will be... because
that last chart had an endurance column, so that was speaking to what you were just talking about.
Yeah. It will be interesting to see, because if they can keep this at a reasonable price, it's enterprises that are going to be looking for this amount of storage. I mean, there's a few of us out there, like the certain Maltavino, that will be buying almost 62 terabyte drives. But for the vast majority of us, we're going to go for something smaller. But for enterprise, this is the thing. And yeah, if the cost up front is terrifying, they're not going to do it. But if you can pull this off with QLC, that would be very interesting. We've got to wait for benchmarks and reviews. Oh, it will be.
Yeah.
But not TLC price.
No.
I said it last week in my pick. All hail the Malventano, and I believe in Alan Malventano.
WWAD, right? What would Alan do? What Alan used to do was help Ryan Shrout market Intel Arc graphics. And it's time for mandatory Arc coverage.
It's about time.
Now, as has been reported in various places such as videocards.com, Newegg has a listing, and there's a page up on ASRock's website as well. They now officially have a 16 gigabyte version of the Arc A770. So no longer is it just down to that one Acer branded A770 after all the Intel branded ones go away, the limited editions that Intel discontinued. Now we have two. So I'm glad that they picked it up. $329.99. It's just the standard price for an Arc A770.
And I can only buy 20 at a time?
And they're back ordered. Yeah. They're not officially available until the 28th. Yeah. So order now. Order as many as you can, as fast as you can. And then they will arrive on the 28th. Or they'll ship on the 28th. So you can get the 8 gigabyte version of the ASRock Phantom Gaming Arc.
So they're charging $40.
Yeah, $40 more. The other one's $289. Get it. Get the 16 gigabyte version.
Yeah.
It's cheaper than the Acer. It's $10 cheaper than the Acer.
Which is also on sale, by the way.
Yeah, how's that 15% off? They raised the price? Inflation, man. In our next news story, I posted this myself, actually. I was very excited about this press release in my email. Crucial has launched the X9 Pro and, perhaps more importantly, the X10 Pro portable SSDs. Why does this matter? There's a lot of portable SSDs in the market, but there are not a lot that are USB 3.2 Gen 2 by 2.
Oh, okay.
So we finally, this black one here, this is the X10. That is a 2x2, which means it doubles the bandwidth. So no longer are you limited to 10 gigabit per second. You get 20 gigabit per second. As long as you have a motherboard or laptop that can support this, you can have up to 2,100 megabytes per second reads and 2,000 megabytes per second writes. So we're into...
Wow, those are cheap.
And yeah, the price is not like, think about this.
Wow.
This is 4 terabytes of 2x2, 2,000 megabytes per second speed for moving huge, video files around.
At $290? That's insane.
That's I think it's an introductory price because the list price is a little higher than that, and they're all on sale right now.
Do you know how nice this would have been for frame rating back in the day?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
It just shows it as a standard price on Amazon. On Crucial's website, it shows that it's a markdown from like $339.99. But it could just be that they're 280. That's such a good price.
Wow.
Man, I'm starting to like USB-C more than I thought I would.
It's very convenient. I like the power
it's-
delivery and the faster speeds and all that kind of stuff.
It's finally being used to its potential instead of as just a USB connector that you don't have to flip back and forth to get it installed.
Yeah.
For a long
So
time,
break
it
out
was
that
just
X670.
annoying in converting it back to USB-A. That was
Yeah.
kind of what
So when do we
how I
get to
dealt
start
with it.
calling it the Lightning port again?
Nah,
Wait, what was Lightning was Intel, right? And then it was Thunderbolt on
And then
Apple.
Thunderbolt, well, it was Apple, and then they just sort of bailed on it.
And then the USB IF decided, oh, let's just adopt USB 4 became, is that tech? I don't know. Is USB 4 just
No,
going to
it's
got
super
really
speed,
confusing.
USB 4, low latency. I
oh,
think there's
David,
four
you're
there.
right in the YouTube chat. Light Peak. That was the original.
Oh, right. It wasn't Lightning.
Intel
it
was Light Peak, and it was actually optical, not copper, right? And then Thunderbolt was copper.
Yep.
And then oddly, Apple went with Lightning for just their little flimsy card edge
Oh, the stupid
connector for
cable.
their
Yeah.
iPhone. All right.
We've been through a lot, haven't we?
We have. It hurts. Speaking of pain,
I'm just surprised nobody brought up FireWire.
400?
400 not spoken around
400
here.
or 800 megabits.
hey, FireWire was king during the DV camcorder era. I mean, that's how you
Sony
got your video
embraced-
off of your camera.
Embraced fire.
1394B.
Yep, 1394. That big, skinny, thick cable.
What was the little
Daisy
tiny one
chainable?
that Sony used on all of their cameras? I don't remember the variant.
Oh,
Yeah. I liked FireWire 800.
Anyway.
That was a nice connector.
yeah.
Yep.
Obviously, a lot more
On the
bandwidth
back
than
of
USB.
I
every
still have a few
crucial
cases.
sound card.
Still have a few
Yes, it
cases that have
was.
FireWire connector on them.
Hey, it was a robust connector.
Yeah.
That
Sizable.
Sony Vio PC I used on a live stream a while back, that's got it all. It's got
Oh, I'm sure.
RCA and component video inputs on the back. There's
Two
a
different
capture
SD card readers.
I think that's what it came with. Actually, it was like a TV Wonder card, and then it has FireWire and all this stuff.
YouTube chat has surfaced the name iLink.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
No power.
Wasn't that a duet by Dolly Parton and some other person? I link in the
Kenny
stream.
Rogers.
That is
No,
what we are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. Anyway.
But we rely on each other.
Yeah.
Nah.
Our next news story: Windows 11 23H2. Get
So
excited.
you know how you asked for Microsoft never to redesign Explorer from the ground up again? Well, they heard you, and they redesigned Explorer from the ground
and
up
it just
again.
looks like a messy browser window.
Oh,
and with all the
God,
crap they're adding, because of course you've got to integrate Bing and AI search and
Where's my
Oh, no.
Yahoo
We'll get to
toolbar?
that.
Windows Copilot,
Yeah.
which almost sounds like the return of Microsoft Bob.
I was trying to decide if I should make the Clippy joke or the Bob joke, and it was tough. But well, we recently lost the guy that designed Clippy, and he did mention that he regretted it to this day. So I thought I went with Clippy. But yeah, it is seriously. And Leaping Computer tried it out. They're like, it's like running Bing.com from within Microsoft Edge. It's not fully integrated into the operating system. It's like a layer over top. And I'm like, oh, that is just not good.
Activating Windows Copilot is a straightforward process conveniently located on the taskbar. The sidebar is present across all Windows, programs, and
All
apps,
Windows.
ensuring consistent assistance. So don't worry. It's supposed to be there, like the right side of your screen under Windows Vista with your widgets or whatever those were. The widgets was
Well,
OS
and-
10. What did they call those?
Tiles.
No, before tiles.
Oh, no.
Vista. The right hand side of the screen.
Live.
They were like
Something.
Yeah, no, those were widgets.
Were they widgets? Because
Those were
OS
widgets.
Apple called theirs widgets. I thought.
Yeah, well, Microsoft decided
did.
to just sort of go with it too.
Yes.
And I mean, you've got the new hub bar from Office on the other side, so you've lost literally 3/4 of your screen to.
No, that's why you need to get an ultra wide.
add-ons.
The ultra wide form factor was secretly developed by Microsoft so that a third of your screen could just be Bing all the time.
And the Xbox game bar, don't forget.
Oh, don't forget, because good Lord, if you get rid of that, it gets upset.
And
It will get upset.
Your
especially on
Ryzen
Ryzen.
7950 X3D will be unhappy with you.
Whoops.
I just love how Microsoft, if the first time you build the castle, it falls down and dissolves into the swamp. The second time you build the castle, well, it burns down, falls over, and goes into the swamp. But the third, but the thing is that we keep saying, please don't add extra crap to our interface. And so they do. And everyone hates it. And so they get rid of it. And then the next time comes around, and they add a whole bunch of extra crap to your stuff. And you don't like it, and they sort of give you a way to get rid of it. But this time, this is what you want your desktop to look like. I guarantee it. I am desperately trying to find ways to block this because it's not far off. This is Windows 11 23H2. This will be probably, well, they're saying October-ish. I'm going to guess late September. But it's coming. And you're going to have to find a way to stop it if you don't want it. Because trying to integrate the interface so that it looks the same on the big screen and the computer and the phone. Oh, wait, Microsoft doesn't do phones anymore. But the Surface.
If only they did.
It's hard for them. And they keep trying, and they keep trying, and they keep trying.
You know, when I used Windows Phone, I could get in, get out, and then get on with my life. I wasn't tied down. I used a live tile, that would show me things like a new message that came in, what the weather is like outside.
The temperature, the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was great.
Microsoft stock price.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, we have that on the list somewhere, too. We should probably get to that.
Yeah. The YouTube chat points out that Apple does the exact opposite and continues to remove things that you might have wanted. And like, for instance, this is a classic example.
Battery life.
Well, yes, you can still get that with the option key. Hold down the option.
That comes with the upgrade.
It used to be fairly simple in Apple's GUI to configure RAID. Imagine that. RAID was accessible to the average user right in the GUI, right in the disk manager, and it was fairly easy to do. And they took that away. They don't want you to be able to do that anymore. You can still do it on the command line, but it's annoying. It's too dangerous for the average person.
The thing that baffles me about this story is that, and it's like Jeremy said, they keep introducing these things. And so there is a room full of people at Microsoft that keep saying to each other, this is a great idea. And it's like, who hired these people? Because they're idiots.
Yeah.
This soapbox brought to you by Microsoft. We're making your life easier.
Speaking of Microsoft, they just had their earnings webcast. They talked about their fourth quarter results. Because, of course, in July, it's fourth quarter of some year. And they're doing really well. I mean, their revenue was up 8%, $56.2 billion in revenue. Their operating income was $24.3 billion, which was 18% up. Net income was up 20% to $20 billion. If you go scrolling down here to the section about Windows, under more personal computing, revenue decreased $556 million. Windows revenue decreased $337 million, driven by a decrease in Windows OEM. That market has decreased 12%, according to them, quote, primarily driven by continued PC market weakness, end quote.
Oh, so it's not the year that Linux takes over.
No. I suppose this is still in comparison to the COVID era when everyone stayed home and wanted to play games.
I guess so. They were selling a lot of PCs for a little while, and people needed a newer one, needed a
or work from home
for Zoom.
I'm doing air quotes when I said work from home, Zoom from home. Yeah, people were playing games with them.
Apparently, Logitech also took a really big loss
Oh yeah,
Well, not a loss, but nowhere near what they expected.
Right,
Because, well,
you couldn't
yeah, everyone
sustain
was either.
the type.
That kind of buying.
The Logitech webcams were like gold for a while there.
Oh, God, yeah.
In our next story, tech can actually be useful too.
No, it
Like
can't.
the 2023 Hackaday Prize for Assistive Tech. There's some finalists.
There are. No, and apparently Hackaday had some technical problems, which is why it's taken so long to get to some of the finalists for the last couple of categories. But they do this every year, and the whole idea is that, hey, submit a full project. You have to detail all of the components that you use, all the steps that you make to make this thing work, and then submit it. You can win some seriously good money and at the same time help people out. Like the picture that you were looking at, and for the audio listeners, it is a refreshable braille display, which is completely and totally affordable. You do need a 3D printer to be able to do some of the things, but really it's just being able to turn a monitor into a tactile web experience so you can totally read stuff in braille without a problem. Another one.
You guys remember Sneakers, right?
Yep.
The movie?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
it
do.
was the blind hacker who had those.
So they figured this out.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. And to top that one off, another one came up with an inexpensive 3D braille printer. So it actually just, you give it a fresh piece of paper, and it will emboss braille text on it. Done. You don't have to buy that. And I don't know if you've had any sight-impaired friends, but the typewriter to be able to make braille paper before was stupid expensive. This is not. So you've got sort of the Dead Tree version or the live version. They also did one that helps with hearing impaired, so that you can, instead of being an audio cue, it's a visual cue. Someone programmed a robot hand to be able to speak ASL. So it'll translate audio into ASL and then back. I really love what Hackaday does with these prizes, because they're all trying to just make things better. And the best thing about it is everything is open source. All of these projects, you can literally go into Hackaday. You can find out the material costs, the actual materials you need, and the steps to create it yourself. This is part and parcel with being able to enter the contest. Once you win the contest, you get tens of thousands of dollars, a place at Hackerspace down in San Francisco. Hey, if you've got any ideas, follow these guys, or if you just want to check it out, I highly recommend them.
Good news, everyone! Futurama's back again. I didn't know it was gone again.
Oh,
They've canceled it. They brought it back.
Hypnotoad.
They've made movies. They've had David Cross play the voice of the monster.
Hypnotoad is back.
Okay. Oh, it's on Hulu now. All right.
It's on Hulu.
No,
now,
Hulu.
yes.
Comedy Central had ordered new episodes. And I remember there being some new seasons. That ended in 2013.
Yes.
And then they were going to bring it back, and then it was John DiMaggio who refused to come back. I thought there's some kind of dispute.
Yes, they offered him a boatload of money.
So he said, okay, I'll come back.
Yes.
And now they can't do anything because there's a big strike. So I guess this is all for nothing.
So there's there are 3 episodes listed on Hulu. The first one is the only one that's live right now. My wife and I watched it earlier this evening. While it wasn't Godfellas or Luck of the Fryrish, it was still quite good quality Futurama. They did a lot of poking fun at themselves, poking fun at Hulu, who is their new streaming service, and just a lot of things in the world. And it was wonderful. It was like seeing an old friend again after 10 years.
Hey, do you want to do the whole thing over again? That was as tear jerking as Fry's dog waiting for him.
And they,
A couple of really sad episodes for sure.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
That
Then
is
again, they hired mathematicians to develop the coronet theory of the universe, which actually does mathematically work out.
And Al Gore's daughter actually worked as a writer on the series
Yep.
back in the day, which is how they got him to appear as a voice in a few episodes.
Yeah. As himself, no less. That
As
wasn't Al
himself.
Gore's head, though. It was just his head.
Yes.
It was his
Just like
head
Richard Nixon's
in
head.
Many historical figures came back as
My favorite episode of Futurama of all time, this will not be a surprise to anybody who listens to this podcast, is the one where all the original cast members of the original Star Trek series, except for Scotty, who didn't want to do it because Shatner was doing it. Instead of Doohan, they called him
Scotty or Sulu?
Welsh.
Scotty. Welshie.
They had
Welshie.
Welshie.
They call him
Yes,
Welshie.
Welsh.
But yeah,
they also
George actually
amusing
did
considering
it.
who they
George Takei
cast in
did
the
it.
next. Yeah.
Ah,
But it's quite amusing considering who they cast in the newer Star Trek movies. Because that's not a Scottish accent. That's a Welsh accent.
It was they did a whole City on the Edge of Forever sort of take, if I remember correctly.
It was the
Yes, they did.
Where no fan has
really.
gone before.
Yes.
It was the giant amorphous blob. It was Arena, basically.
Oh,
They
okay.
had them do like they fight to the
Arena.
death.
Okay.
And
Well,
then
no,
the
but that
blob
was-
gets in trouble with his mom, and he's like, "Mom, I'm playing with my collectibles." And then
Yeah, it's literally the plot of it was an original Star Trek episode.
Arena.
Yeah.
And the Squire of
Anyway.
Gothos.
A great episode, one of the best. And it's where Roddenberry, of course, who inserted Q when they decided to go from a pilot to a 2-hour TV movie for the Star Trek The Next Generation, he added the Squire of Gothos essentially back in, but that's Q in The Next Generation. But
But
I love-
Delancey did
I love
such a better
both.
job on it. that
I love
they
them
didn't have-
both.
they
I
couldn't
don't
let
know
him
the
go.
name of the actor who did the original, but the Squire was excellent. Let's pause here for a word from this week's podcast sponsor.
Tell me that you've had enough of the frozen dinners already this summer. You can have your free time and create fresh and tasty meals with HelloFresh. Let HelloFresh take care of the meal planning and deliver you top quality ingredients so that everything you need to whip up a delicious meal arrives right at your door. Those pre-portioned ingredients help cut down on wasted food, while step-by-step instructions make cooking a breeze and not a chore. And personally, I do need those instructions when building something in the kitchen. Believe me, our entire package from HelloFresh was impressive. We first made delicious creamy tomato soup with sausage in only about 20 minutes. All the ingredients were clearly set out for 2 or 4 people, well marked, and the recipe card was informative and very easy to follow. The finished soup was fantastic and well accompanied by their oven-baked cheesy baguettes as a side. Again, supplied as uncooked ingredients, just like everything else. Delicious. HelloFresh also has a variety of options that you want for making great dinners, so it's not just the same thing all the time. They keep out the boredom with 40 recipes to choose from each week. You can always find something familiar to like or a great new dish to try and love. So go to HelloFresh.com/PCPer50 and use code PCPer50 for 50% off and free shipping. So start your experience with America's #1 meal kit and go to HelloFresh.com/PCPer50 and use code PCPer50 for 50% off and free shipping.
We're back, and it's time for Security Corner.
Oh, no, really?
It's Security
the
Corner.
time where we make everyone cry.
Their life sucks now.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a MicroTik super admin bug.
Oh, it hurts.
Yep. And MicroTik has been hit by so many things that, I mean, honestly, if you're running this, and apparently there are still about 1 million devices out there, you probably should get rid of it. Because before I even go into what this does, the thing about MicroTik's Router OS is it ships with a built-in administrator account called admin with a blank password. Recently, they stopped shipping it with a blank password. They put in a random one, but there is no complexity requirements whatsoever. So you can just make it 1, 2, 3, 4, like the combination of my luggage, if you like. So the thing about it is they've been hit many times. They actually helped inadvertently make a world record for the Marius botnet. They were part and parcel in making that the biggest one ever. But the thing is that eventually they find new things. And so anything running Router OS or their Winbox local program that will let you hit a virtual machine much easier. If you've got admin access and they don't put any protection on for for brute force password guessing. Like if you just keep throwing in passwords at the admin account, if you manage to get in a remote access, which isn't hard because these are edge devices, it won't lock you out. It'll just let you keep guessing passwords until eventually you get in. And you'll get in with admin access, which will give you the amusingly named super admin, which is essentially what they're saying is it's you now have the same permissions as the OS does for talking to registers, for calling basic function calls, which means that you can now unknowingly to the person who owns it jailbreak this device, hide everything that you ever do from that point on, and just use it for whatever you feel like. It's obscene.
So this is one of those you have to kind of be on the target network. A lot of these, I don't know if all of them are edge devices per se.
Fair.
A lot of them are switch only and have no like NAT or bridge capabilities to them. I don't think.
Yeah. And frankly, if it's a dumb switch,
you have to be on the network. Yeah, go ahead.
If it's a dumb switch, you're good because they're dumb. They can't do anything. Mm-hmm. But if you're doing a router or you're doing a managed switch.
Yeah, they all have router OS is what they're talking about. And now the Microtech switches can operate in two modes. They can operate in dumb switch mode, as you were saying, or they can essentially operate in router OS mode, which is unfortunately wedgeable, as detailed
you
in
want
this
to
article.
lobotomize it.
You want to switch it maybe to dumb switch mode. If that's really all you're using, you're not using any advanced tagging or anything like that for network latency checking or traffic shaping or anything like that, you should probably put it in dumb switch mode.
Yeah. But don't worry, you can just dump it and buy a Cisco because we haven't found a brand new Cisco vulnerable 9.8 vulnerability this week yet.
It's only Wednesday. So, hey, if you're still running Zen 2 based AMD CPUs, there's a new encryption breaking, password leaking bug that could take months to fix, according to Ars Technica. Zen Bleed.
Clever Zen Bleed.
So these are the 3000 series. So that's 2 generations back. Not saying that there's not a lot of these CPUs still out there, because there are.
They did some weird stuff on the laptops, though, Josh. Where, some of the newer laptops are actually running it, and the 4000G series. So if you bought one of them.
Yeah.
The good news is if you bought one of the original Epic 7020s, the patch is already out. So grab it. Other than that, you're going to have to wait sometime between October to December. But this thing is just nasty. No physical hardware address, or no physical hardware access to be able to get a physical hardware address. No elevated access to be done. All you need is a nasty JavaScript on a website, and you're infected. And the nasty thing about this is it'll send data from registers at about 30 kilobytes per core per second, which is literally enough for real-time monitoring. So whatever you are passing on that processor can be grabbed at real time and recorded. So that doesn't just mean what you're doing, but also passwords, data processing, everything. The good news is it's never been detected in the wild yet. Proof of concept code has been posted. It's not going to be too long before, you were wishing that this was back in Rowhammer days or Spectre, because those were much easier to be done. This one, it's going to take a while to figure things out and fix stuff up and then get it pushed out. And then, depending on how it goes, because the Ars Technica story was implying that it's actually the motherboards are going to be patched. Doesn't make much sense to me. I would have thought that would be a microcode on the CPU, but it may well be the chipset. In the meantime, if you're running critical systems on these, if you put an emulation layer in between it, it will completely defeat it. Because now it's, it can't pass the commands through and be able to get at your registers and such. But, this is just nasty. Nasty. And literally AMD saying, yeah, by December, we'll be able to fix this. I like them, but I don't like that answer.
Yeah, that's I'd forgotten that the 3000 series is actually rebranded.
Yeah,
5700U, 7020, all the mobile parts. That stinks.
And that laptop you bought is definitely going to be supported for that 3 years, and they'll still be pushing BIOS updates.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I was just in the chat remembering that Zen 2 didn't come along until the Ryzen 3000 stuff on desktop. I'd forgotten that Zen Plus.
Zen 1 Plus.
Yeah, it was the 2000
or Zen
series.
Plus.
I wasn't doing CPU reviews back then. I was still...
At least AMD only went to 1 Plus and not 2 or 3. But yeah, no, this one is nasty, and I hate it because there is so many systems out there that are going to be vulnerable to this.
Hey, just upgrade. This is the time to upgrade to AM5 because it doesn't affect Ryzen 7000.
Yeah.
So yeah, why just out of curiosity, why is the 5000 series desktop not affected by this? Because it was essentially the same architecture. It Zen 3?
The
Zen 3.
The fourth. Oh, wait a minute. The
5000
is the
laptop
series.
The 5000 desktop.
7000.
Was AP? Never mind. I don't want to try to remember. There's about 73 different architectures with all different brands.
And they were reusing them and swapping them.
Yeah, and their mobiles were always a half step different than desktop stuff.
And their numbering scheme was in the 4000s. It was just very weird.
What architecture is the 5000 series APUs? Like the 5700G.
That should be...
Is what? See full specifications. Okay.
Oh, YouTube chat knows that the consoles were all Zen 2. So all of the Zen 2 AP, all the APU,
holy
AMD.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Holy crap. That's terrifying.
Don't bank on your
Hey, it's not like the consoles are connected to the internet at all times. So
no,
your credit card information and all that stuff.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Bloody hell.
Yeah, it won't be fine, by the way. It's not fine.
Thank you, Al. You just made Security Corner worse.
I can't wait until there's a update.
Because I'm proud of you.
For my PS5 that makes it slower to mitigate stuff.
Moving on to the next uplifting story.
Yeah, more of this is from our second guy.
There's more.
Firmware vulnerabilities in millions of computers could give hackers super user status. Is that the same thing? Was that story number 1?
No, it isn't. This is actually different. So Gigabyte had a ransomware attack against essentially the home base of their own environment, and over 100 gigabytes of data was extracted from the Gigabyte, the company itself, and it happened to include the firmware that a U.S.-based company called AMI. They make the microcontrollers that go essentially small computers. They act as small computers on server level boards, so that if people are familiar with IPMI, it used to be called that. I think it's called something fish. I think it's Redfish or something like that now, for remote command execution, for reinstalling OSs, for when you want to do remote administration. That's essentially the first login that you usually get on the maintenance network is to an IPMI controller, where you can then control the machine functions and then cross log into the console, things of that nature. Built-in nicety to server OSs. Well, due to the extraction of this a couple of years ago, this firmware dump was studied, and multiple vulnerabilities have been discovered, not taken advantage of yet, but it was fairly easy to find the problems in this firmware. And it's either for local access, so regular users that happen to be a non-privileged account that could access the IPMI controller, as well as fully remote capable ways of taking advantage of the system and killing cloud computers that have this AMI controller on it. I don't know if it's just gigabyte boards that have this IPMI controller on it, or whether it's many more, but this could affect dramatically cloud computing in a very, very bad way. Highly critical.
And that's without we're not even going to mention the stolen Microsoft security key. And what
I didn't even get into that one.
Yeah, we don't even want to get into that because we still have more bad news for you.
Yeah, I didn't even want to talk about that one. This is bad enough because the IPMI controllers, you have to kind of maybe SSH into a local essentially a proxy box, then you can get into the IPMI controllers. So if that's the case, that may insulate them somewhat from the outside world, but many are not. This could be devastating. It hasn't been taken advantage of yet, but it's likely, why not soon?
But don't worry, Google's air-gapped their system, so they'll be safe. We shouldn't bring that one up because that is just the silliest thing I've heard all week.
Oh yeah, the next one is if you think this is a totally different one.
Yeah, if you think you're safe because you don't run Windows, think again.
Yeah, think again. So this was actually posted like today or yesterday. 2 fresh right out of the toaster, popping hot fresh Linux vulnerabilities on Ubuntu kernel has the potential for unprivileged local users to get elevated privileges. And the way this is done is through what's called like an overlay OS capability that has the ability to layer a new file system atop an existing one for legitimate purposes. And there were some problems with that, and Ubuntu had patched several flaws out of that environment or that subsystem, and that had been working for a period of years. So now some competing patches or changes were put into the code stream from another environment, and they were merged together with the Ubuntu release, and they did not co-mix well and essentially opened those flaws up again. So there are in the wild right now ways of taking advantage of this. So if you're running a Ubuntu system, just make sure that dig into the latest patch for Ubuntu and make sure that you're getting these 2 CVEs patched, because they're pretty bad. And this is a local user privilege escalation.
It's a mere 7.8. Come on.
It's because it's not remote code executable. It's not RCE. That's probably why it's a low. It's a low, or below an 8.
7.8 is not low, but
yeah. But so again, weaponized exploits for this are already publicly out there. The tears never stop, even if you're running Linux.
No.
Speaking of the tears stopping, it's over. No more security corner for this week. Tune in again next week for more depressing news that will make you want to give up technology and live in the woods. Live in a van.
Maybe write a manuscript.
Yeah.
Yes.
A manifesto.
Yeah.
Yes.
And a typewriter with a slightly off S key.
Yeah. Okay. Gaming quick hits. Now. Starfield, secrets revealed.
Make us feel better.
Worse. What is this?
I can't. So, this Starfield, the Bethesda's swan song, or the space game that they're promising is going to be absolutely amazing, and restore our faith in Bethesda in being able to release anything that isn't best used as compost, which is out in almost just over a month now. Chose to release 3 new introductory shorts.
So gameplay footage of the a beta build.
No, they're all animated.
Oh,
stylistically animated and very obviously not game engine.
Or is this the look of the game and it looks like you're watching an anime, but you're experiencing it?
Too meta. It's too meta. Stop it. Stop.
Yeah. So it's an odd choice. The gal whose parents died and she's trying to rebuild the starship. It's a nice, heartwarming minute and a half or so. But honestly, if you're about to release the game and you go with weird animated shorts, this is not. It's the second one, Sebastian. That's actually kind of cute. It doesn't fill me with a bunch of hope. I'm pretty sure the game is not supposed to look like what you're about to see. As for, giving it flavor and sort of a background story, yes. But I don't know. You're a month off of release, a month and a half, or a month and a week off of release. And you go with this?
Okay. Think of the game League of Legends, right? And then wasn't there a Netflix League of Legends based off of it?
I think you're right.
So it's all anime anyway. So not particularly original, but hey, it's flavor, it's background.
Yeah, but my faith in this is just it doesn't exist to begin with. So
it looks cool. The frame rate is very low. The animated,
it is.
It's like 12 FPS animation, but
no, but I'm worried they spent more on this
to the style
called cheap. That's the
they didn't even bother
like Speed Racer quality,
fully coloring it in. Yeah, it's Speed Racer. Yeah.
Okay. So we have some anime stuff that was made by some third party, and there's no gameplay footage. It's a month away. Promise.
It gets better. Somebody spent about 200 hours, apparently, going through all of the available footage through all the Starfield release.
Yeah.
And it figured out pretty much the entire skill tree. It's based on 4 different sets of 4 different trees. Each of which have a whole bunch of different things. You have to put 4 points in to be able to rank up to the next, to be able to get interesting, more skill things. And if you look into it, it's about a 44-page document on Reddit. It is, of course, scraped from videos, so it's not necessarily true or not. But my God, if you thought that some of the previous games just sort of overreached themselves and went just a little bit too big, Cyberpunk, this one looks like it went way too big unless you level up at an insane rate. You won't be able to prospect brand new worlds. You won't be able to check out new fauna. You won't be able to work your pistol or your shotgun or your heavy gun or your weapons on your ship without being able to level up and put stuff in. It is an obscene amount of skill points, and it just looks like they wanted to shove everything they possibly could in and sort of hope it works. I want it to work. Don't get me wrong. I want it to work. My trust in Bethesda died many, many years ago, and it's not coming back from Starfield.
Okay, next up, Dying Light 2, Stay Human for Xbox Series X. Is the story that it's on sale for more than half off?
Yeah, and also if you click through the PlayStation 4 and 5, you'll see that it is also at 57% off, I believe.
Oh, 60% off for PS5? Wait, that's
PS4. PS4.
Okay, what about PS5? 58% off.
58%. So last week, I noticed on Steam that Dying Light 2 was 50% off, and that was actually something I brought up as casual game. If you're not getting enough parkour out of your run and gun, perhaps you should be playing a little Dying Light every now and then. Stay Human 2, I just bought it a little while ago. I haven't had a chance to sit down and play it because you need like a number of hours that you just want to play video games, and who's time for that sort of thing? Just put it in your library, for goodness sakes. Anyway, if this is the standard edition, if you're looking to like put a little more parkour in your video game life, you might want to look into this for $25. There's probably more expensive ways to kill time.
There are less expensive ways too, but this is in that sweet spot of amount of money to spend to waste time.
Exactly.
What was another game? Was it Mirror's Edge?
parkour
That
running.
was another parkour game, right?
Yeah.
Mirror's Edge.
Yeah.
Although that one was pretty stylish and
Yes.
interesting.
You know what? It's time for picks of the week.
Yes.
Josh,
Really?
in box 1, please take it away.
Box 1, really 6. But you know what? If the prices are just still dropping on a lot of core components, the Ryzen 5 5600X, still a great little gaming CPU. 6 cores, 12 threads. Does not have the Zen 2 vulnerability. Doesn't have the Intel efficiency cores. No, this is just a 65 watt TDP that it performs well across the board. It's a little bit lower cost than the clock than the 5800X, and certainly doesn't have the gaming performance of a 5800X 3D, but at damn near $150 or 160, 155 or whatever, it's dirt cheap for building a new machine for somebody you love, or maybe even somebody you don't like but would like to like more. You know what I'm saying?
Plus, it comes with a cooler. I mean,
Yeah.
Nice.
it's everything you need in one box.
That makes it cooler.
Well, except there's no
Yeah.
integrated graphics, but you
Yeah.
don't want that.
It's a good little gaming processor. Come on.
It is.
And that sale ends in
Plus,
just
5%
3
probably
hours,
is-
so,
Sold out for
What GPU today does that pair well with, do you think?
gosh, maybe an Arc 770?
Arc 770? Yeah.
Zen 3
Maybe.
has aged very well. You're not really going to
It
be
does.
held back
Yes.
with anything. Okay. Jeremy, your pick of the week.
Well, you know what's cheaper than something on sale? Something that's completely free.
Okay. Captivated.
Dungeons of the Endless. The original one, they started with the Endless series. Endless Legends and Endless Space. But Dungeons of the Endless is a pretty fun roguelike. It's a sort of a mix of a roguelike and a tower defense. It's free. You can add it to your library without any guilt whatsoever.
I think
You
the
just go to Steam.
100% discount on
Yeah.
Steam
You
was
click on add to
$11.99.
account.
I'm forced to admit this is cheaper than $25.
Yeah, and you don't have to feel bad if you never play it, but you should because it's actually pretty fun.
Are they trying to just up the reviews? Because 63% of user reviews are positive. Mixed reviews. But they're going to get more positive if you just give it away, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
I think
recommend.
if you don't like that style of game, you're going to hate it regardless.
Oh, because
But
apparently there's some
it's-
multiplayer
Yep.
issues.
Well, yeah. Endless does tend to have multiplayer issues still. Even the last one they did was Endless Space 2. And yeah, it has some issues. And my family gets annoyed because I'm much better at it than they are. So yeah, we're not allowed to play it anymore.
It's sad.
Doesn't that happen inside the family unit when you're like too good at a particular game? You're not. No one will play anymore.
Well, I'm not
we're not
playing
allowed
my
to play that
Civ-
game.
I'm not playing Civ 5 with my brother anymore. He's figured that one out somehow.
Okay.
Civ
it cuts
3
both
or
ways.
Civ 4 though. My dad and I can beat the snot out of him on that.
All right. Brett, your pick.
I used to see this product out there a lot about keyboard overlays for applications that would kind of help you through using the application, allow you to learn the shortcuts.
Oh,
You know,
you're
a lot of
learning Vim,
people-
are you?
No, I know VI. Vim might be a little bit too enhanced for me. I'm more of a VI guy. But besides
Fair.
that, besides that, I appreciated the fact that there was a way for somebody to learn complex applications and the keyboard shortcuts, because it's always quicker than going back and forth to the mouse and all that. But then I came across this, which is an entire dedicated keyboard. And the nice idea, of course, with USB, if this is something that that you use a lot, and I picked this one for you, Sebastian.
I feel like you're just taunting me with this.
I practically am. But the nicety with a USB keyboard is that you can have multiple keyboards plugged in. That's no big deal.
Oh, sure.
And
Yeah, just have my secondary keyboard stacked up above and just reach up. I like that the shortcuts are all labeled, though.
You can be like the 1980s rock bands. You got the two keyboards that you're playing at the same time.
You could.
Herbie Hancock, you know, like when he was doing that fusion stuff.
Go to a couple of the pictures here.
I'm not dissing Herbie. He had like, you know, one keyboard and then another one below it, and they were all patched together with these crazy patches. This is pre-MIDI.
Hancock.
This is pre-MIDI, okay? It was all analog patching going on.
Grab another one of those pictures because it's actually not just the keyboard that's fully embossed and go to the right and grab another one of the it's backlit as well.
Oh, that's handy.
So that you can use it in a color corrected room in the dark, and so you're just getting lit from the monitor. And they have them for a variety of applications.
I get lit in front of my monitor all the time.
Yeah, that's a totally different story as well. But this is a really cool thing, and they've got them for dozens of very high profile applications. Again, I picked this one for you, Sebastian, because it was so much to resolve. And they have the keyboard for both Mac and PC. So they have the different variants for where the enhanced or the shift option, the command, or Windows keys are labeled appropriately. It's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what you do a lot of, you might as well grab one of these and just switch back and forth between the keyboards. Just set your regular keyboard aside and shuffle this one in when you're in that mode.
Kent, your pick.
I'm actually wearing my pick for the week. This is the Biodynamic DT880 edition.
Oh,
these are the 600 ohm model. So you do need a bit of an amp to power them correctly. But they're $169 right now from several reputable online marketplaces. They're a fantastic headphone. They're well built. They're comfortable. You can get the 250 ohm version if you don't have a high powered headphone amp. It is $9 more, but the 250 ohm still sounds very good. I've heard that the 32 ohm does not sound as good as the 250 or 600 ohm. But if you've got a high powered amplifier, or if you've got a speaker post output to headphone adapter, you can get the 600 ohms to sound amazing, equivalent to a lot of headphones that cost a lot more money. And again, $169 for German made. It's fantastic.
Nice.
Very nice.
Nice.
Do you have a headphone amp? They're open, right?
They say they're semi-open.
They're semi-open. They're not a full closed back.
It's a little tight, but it's not
a little tight. Yeah.
Gaping.
That's sort of what I was picturing, Josh.
Kent,
yes.
Do you have a headphone amp recommendation for somebody? So they see the price, $169. You just have a PC. Is there a DAC headphone combo under $200 you would recommend to get started with these, or no? Is that too cheap?
There is a topping set. It's a DAC and then although you can use any DAC really, but then there's a headphone amp. I believe it's called the LS50 that is quite powerful for an inexpensive headphone. It's Chinese made, but it's also extremely clean.
Jeremy has a favorite DAC.
I was going to suggest that I still haven't convinced Fozzie to send over a headphone amp yet. I do kind of want to bug them for that.
No, do they have DACs?
Not one that would take it. Yes, they do.
Okay, so I know you've done the power amplifiers a couple times, like the V3 was the most recent one.
Yeah, but they have headphone amps. It's just I don't own a headset that can actually drive it.
Oh, I see.
In fact, one of the latest ones can act as a DAC, and it can also act as a pass-through.
Okay.
Using either they charge or whatever.
$130 for it or something.
It's inexpensive. Yeah.
Yeah, they're ridiculously good.
Jeremy, I think I'm going to buy one of those V3s. I was
One
looking
day
at
I
your
hope-
review today again.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need one because the coupon code still works. They're like $77.
Yeah. No, that one I give Chris, the troll upstairs, because he does his own music. And it's a much more flat. So it gives him the actual true sound that it's going to be, and then he can modify it from there.
I'd rather have the flat. I know that one doesn't have any tone controls. I'd rather have no tone controls, flat frequency response.
And the frequency response on it is better than the 2, which is the one I'm using, and the one that's boxed up that I might be sending to my mom. Because we do not sell products that we get to review here at PC Perspective.
They're too useful.
That's
Why would you
right.
want to? You can keep yourself
I mean,
warm.
what else am I going to fill my house up with?
Yeah, insulate your attic. Buy a storage unit to put it all in and spend $130 a month on it.
Well, we're happy
Okay.
to give it to friends and family, but
Sure. Yeah.
you ain't going to sell it.
I can't. Yeah, I don't want to get into that.
Sebastian, do you actually have a pick?
I do. My pick this week
Wow.
is that Crucial X10 Pro I was talking about. I have emailed them. If they don't want to send one, I'm just going to have to buy one because I am very excited about a Gen 2x2. And I have at least one device that can actually make use of that. I mean, SneakerNet in my house is the way to go because my home network is not very fast. So if I can move files around at 2,000 megabytes per second, plus however long it takes me to run upstairs and then hook it into the computer upstairs and then start the file transfer, I am saving several minutes. I'm limited to gigabit speeds on my home network.
If only you had
What's it
2.5
gonna take?
gigabit.
Yeah.
What's it going to take to get you onto 2.5G? What's it gonna
Just an
take?
upgrade to my Switch, I guess.
Haven't we talked about
And you picked a
enough?
great one last week. I'm very tempted by that because it has the 10 gigabit, and then it has the 2.5s.
Yes, there are
It's
slightly
passive?
cheaper versions.
That was passive, right?
slightly
It wasn't actively cooled.
correct.
Okay,
That's correct. It's
I should
passive.
just get it. Throw it in the cabinet.
Yep, and there's no transceivers required with that one. That particular board is available from a couple manufacturers. TrendNet is one of them. I think QNAP might be another, but it's essentially the same board in either one, and they're within like $10 of each other. So whatever one's on sale is probably going to get the same amount of performance out of either one.
There's no excuse. Like
Yeah, it allows you to do 10G backbone and 2.5G fan out. So it's a great deal.
I don't have a 2.5 compatible NAS, but it has dual 1 gigabit, which you can team. So I could do that.
Right. Yep, you can gang those up.
Oh yeah, gang, not team. Team is what you did with modems, right? You would team modems together. Was that still gang? Where does teaming come from? Am I full of
Teaming? Oh,
Teaming.
doesn't matter. It's fine.
that's an old soggy neuron.
Okay.
That was like ADSL.
Yeah, thought we talked about this like a week ago.
Yeah, I mean, teaming is still you create a lag, and also remember, Shotgun was a fun modem.
Oh no, that was a modem.
And ISDN also had
Modem teaming.
I remember I talked
Using
about
two modems to
ISDN
double
last
transmission
time.
rate. It split it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like MIMO now. Multi-input,
That's channel bonding, which is apparently the same thing as teaming and grouping. So
link aggregation.
yeah,
yes,
vernacular
John.
has
bonding.
changed.
That's
Like
what we call it now. Link aggregation.
Bonding is link aggregation.
Lag.
Link aggregation is one of the ways to enable that 5G experience. Because you can do it with microwave, you can do it with hotspot, you can do it with.
But one thing that hasn't
aggregation over
changed throughout the years
LTE.
is lag. Lag is still lag.
Well, lag is inherent in all wireless
lag
technology.
and
really.
lag
And you
and
put all the
yep.
packets back
You can
together
call
in
it
order.
latency if you want.
So is half duplex, but people don't realize that. But whatever.
Oh well.
My wife had
I
a going
remember
away
getting
thing.
my first full duplex modem at
Aw.
56K full duplex. Oh
Woohoo.
my god!
You didn't go through the 14.4 33.6 phase. I know. I did.
So we borrowed that. My dad
14.4.
borrowed that one. It was
I think the first one we bought was a 9600 because it had just been released.
Kermit.
We were talking
Remember
about
Kermit?
The U.S. Robotics TAN
US
desktop
Robotics.
2400
Oh, there you go. Yep.
I had a Zoom also with the digital readout in the front of it.
serial connection. Yeah.
And for you kids, it was a
all
different
good.
Zoom.
Yep, exactly.
But no,
Hardware
I can
flow
remember
control for the win.
First time I saw that double shotgun modem was at work, and it was for backing up a Unix machine. Like, oh my god, what? You can hit seriously?
Yeah.
it's time to end the show.
28K.
It's time
Get
to
out.
end the show. It's been another episode
Leave.
of the PC Perspective Podcast, and we're going to do it again next week. I don't see any reason not to.
We're gonna do it again. Sure. Yep.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Why not? Yeah. News happens. We need to talk
It
about
keeps
it.
on happening, and we think it's over, and then companies rebrand
more
themselves, and
more stuff happens.
And-
They step on themselves in weird and awkward and embarrassing ways, and security problems crop up in 2-year-old data breaches. Yeah, it's never ending.
Yeah. But remember, kids, if a small friend of yours with hairy feet tells you not to throw the token ring in the fire, just toss it in there. It needs to go.
Yeah.